aboard! Hello and welcome to another episode of the Woodsman Whack Off, the series that puts two woodsmen face to face to see which competitor can whack off their log the fastest. So, in today's episode, we have the Holzfforma G660, which is a clone of the Steel MS660, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And we have the Poulan Pro 655, and it is not a clone, it is a rebadged Pioneer P65. So, first off, the G660, the specs on it, what we have here is, I actually went all the way back to the 066, and Mike Akers' site says that it came out in 1999, which doesn't sound right to me. Seems like it's a little bit older than that, but whatever. I'm just going off of Mike Akers' site. And the horsepower rating on it from the factory was 6.8. This G660 is definitely not going to be putting out that much horsepower. And the weight is 16.1 pounds dry. And maximum engine RPM is showing 13,000. And the Poulan Pro is based off of the Pioneer P65. It comes in at 18.3 pounds. We have no horsepower numbers from the factory, but we do have a maximum engine RPM speed of 12,500 RPM, which is really surprising. Mike Akers' site says that it was introduced in 87 or 88, depending on what you want to believe, and which I think that sounds about right as well. So, 660 is 92 cc's. It has a long 40 millimeter stroke and a 54 millimeter bore, which gives you 91.6 cc's. So we call it 92. Whereas the Poulan has a shorter stroke of 38.1 millimeter, and the cylinder bore is 57.1, which gives us an even 6 cubes, which is 98 cc's. So they go about it a little bit differently. The Poulan's got a great big old fat piston in there and a kind of short stroke for what it is, and vice versa on the steel or the Holzfforma, the clone saw. So without further ado, let's get onto this and see which one comes out on top. All right, there they are, revving them up, getting them ready to bite into that oak. Both saws are running the exact same bar and chain. This is a 30-inch longer chain setup that I sharpened on my grinder and got decent results. It's really actually cuts pretty darn good. I could stand to make it a little bit more aggressive, I believe. But what we see here is that G660 is just blasting through in comparison to the Poulan 655. Yeah. It's already about done. Boom. And we're a little over halfway with the Poulan, so we got a ways to go here, and we got some stuff to talk about afterwards. Just chugging away, and finally, bam, there it is. 51.37 to 36.1 seconds. So, anyways, all right, so let's pause this, and we will talk about it. Okay, so just one cut. It's a great big old log, and that Poulan is slow. So I hate to harp on this because the last time I did a video on this saw, you could tell that there was a lot of people that were like, dude, something's wrong, blah, 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 blah. That Poulan should be so much faster than that. And those saws were nasty. That's, I got a lot of those kind of comments. I don't know what to say. The thing's got compression for days. It runs great. Fires up and it tunes up all right. And it holds its tune. It's I don't know what to tell you. I've ran old saws like this before, and I get the exact same experience every time I do. So, granted, I understand this is a 100cc saw. Some stuff can be done to actually bring it alive, and I might someday do that. However, as it is, in stock form, this thing's a freaking turd. A turd. And this is another thing that I hear a lot with a saw like this. And that would be, oh, but whenever it doesn't spin very high RPMs, but man, you can stand on it. And it ain't dogging it down. You ain't bogging it down. BS. That thing will bog so easy. And, maybe there's something wrong. I get it. Maybe there's something wrong. But I don't see what it is. I would have to break into it to figure it out because I can't be clear enough about this. What we have is it fires up and runs good and holds a tune well. So there's no air leak or anything like that going on. And the carburetor is working the way that it should because it runs good. It has really good compression. There we go. Now, is it quite possible that it is extremely restricted on the exhaust? Absolutely. It's also quite possible that the carburetor is too small for it, and this thing needs a bigger, better carb. And maybe someday we will figure that out. But as it is, I believe that this saw is running the way that it is supposed to run from the factory. Now, a lot of folks get their hands on one that have been turned up, and they think that that's the way it runs. This one is bone stock, and I can't help but believe that. Thank you, babe. I can't help but believe that this is how these saws run because it runs good. So, the only place to go from here is to actually modify it and see if it gets better. But the Holzfforma, that's completely stock as well. All I did was tune it, and it's just obliterated that Poulan 655, which is also the Pioneer P65. I know I'll get people going, oh, something's wrong. Well, what could it possibly be? Because it starts and it runs great. It's got really good compression. It holds a tune perfectly. I think that this is how this saw just simply ran in stock form. And if you have one that runs better, then my guess would be you've had things done to it. You may not even know it, but just simply opening it up and removing the screen that's inside the exhaust and stuff might be the ticket. And in the future, we might go that route. But you get what I'm saying? I guess there could be something wrong, but I don't think that there is. I think that's just the way it ran. And it's a turd. It's a turd. If it's a 100cc saw and it can't beat a stock 660 clone, that's a problem. I'm pretty sure that my I almost want to say a stock 55 Rancher would beat it. I know there ain't no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind at all that a stock Echo 590 would beat it. Maybe just walk all over it. Oh, it's a beast. That thing's a beast, man. Yeah, I hear that a lot, but, Tony, I'm going to make fun of you here because I know you can take it. Like you've said the same thing about Poulan 3400, Poulan 3700, 3800, Poulan 4000, that group of saws, Oh, Torque Monster. Oh, it's a beast. That thing, it just chugs away. No, it don't. I mean, a lot of people have said that about the Poulan 4000, let's say. And I like those saws. They can't even scratch the back of one of the modern 50cc saws. And I'm not just talking about RPMs. I'm talking about torque. It just, no, I get obliterated. Uh, in stock form, they were horrific. Big old boat anchors, if you ask me, And so I hear it all the time, all these exaggerations of how strong saws are that people like. And at this point, man, my hands have been on about everything out there, just about. And so I know the realities. I've ran the Pro Mac 81s, Super Pro, the 700, the 1010S, all of that stuff. All of them. I've ran about all of them. Heck, Smitty's big, I don't know what it's called, but he's got a big Home Light 100cc saw. A big one. That thing, my little Craftsman 43cc saw or 42cc saw is faster than it. And I think it might run a long bar close equivalent, I don't know. Nah, that's, that thing did have decent torque, but I just don't see it. Everybody talks up these old saws and acts like that they're awesome. But once you get out there and you start running real stuff that actually does have power and RPM on top of that, the only old saw that I've ran that really kind of, whoa, like kind of blew my mind was the Pioneer of Chad's. I think it was a P41 or a P42. That thing had really excellent torque. Now, it was slow as a turtle, but great torque. Really couldn't believe it. I was like impressed as can be by that. So, anyways, maybe there's something wrong with this big Poulan. Maybe someday I'll dive into it. Maybe not. As it is, I like the way it looks sitting on my shelf.